I had to cut my camera on because I think this is where Shakina had me. When I first came to her house, pregnant, Best Buy, Party City, Rack Room Shoes, JCPenney, Route 21. Hold on. I think my sister brought me over here before. Let me see that. And I'm trying to, it's strange. You know how God give you like something that just like you somewhere where you been before? Give me a second. I'm good.
I thought you said you walking that way or something.
That's Chipotle right here. It's a Chipotle in the gas station, Wileyville in the Beltway. Okay. This is where she had me. If I'm not mistaken, if it's a Longhorn across the street, right there, her apartment was right down the street, and I was walking down these streets looking for a job. Huh? All right. I was walking down to Longhorn, Party City. Like, I walked around this whole neighborhood. And there's the apartments right here. See, I wanted to go to Party City to get something for my new show. To talk about what's going on. I'm pregnant. And they took my son from me. And when I got out of jail, I went to my sister's house. After I had went to Blackjack house, I went to Kiwi house. And over there by Cat and Cookie house. And they auntie and Pug and Reverend Stewart. And then the auntie told me that I needed to leave. And she said, oh, somebody will take you in with that belly. And I told her what they did to me in the jail. And she said I had to leave because Kiwi and them was acting crazy over there. So I called my sister and I asked my sister, could I come? She said, yeah. I was walking around this whole area, all the way down the street, and a black man picked me up and he tried to take me to his house and rape me. He tried to slam me on the floor. I stayed at her house for 3 weeks. That's where I went to Expectation Studio. Not these apartments, but the next one's over. Expectation Studio. And they lied and said that I was not pregnant. And my sister told me I had to get out of her house right before the custody hearing. The custody hearing, they had set a trial for the custody hearing when I was in jail for Cynthia O'Vera to take my son from me. When the charges were dropped in August, I got out and I went to someone's house, but I ended up in my sister's house like a week or so maybe after I got out. And I had showed Larissa those pictures of me pregnant from over at Cookie and them house. And I called Andrew and I told Andrew that I needed the money for an ultrasound at a little Mommy and Me studio. And at first he couldn't give me the money, but somebody did. And they asked me, they said, where you going to get it done at? What's the name of the place? And I told Shakina what the name of the place was. And then after that, I set an appointment for like 2 days later. And when I went, the lady was pressing the ultrasound tool so hard into my stomach and saying she didn't see a baby. And I said, okay, that's enough. Then she said, well, who is your doctor? Have you had a doctor confirmed? And I said, no, that's all right. And then when I came out, Shakina said, what they say? I said, well, she said I'm not pregnant. But when I was in Shakina's house, I asked her to touch my stomach. And when I met her, before I came to her house, I asked her to touch my stomach. And she was saying she didn't feel anything, but I did. And I felt like if she would have just taken the time to really, really, really look, she'd have saw it. And it was as if she just didn't want to see it. And I walked up and down these streets after they said that I was not pregnant, knowing that I was pregnant, walking up and down these streets. I didn't have a social security card because my social security card was in my apartment when they arrested me. And Cynthia O'Vera went in my apartment and took out all my things, so I didn't have a social security card. The only thing that I had was my ID, and I had ordered my birth certificate. But I was still going around looking for jobs. And it was men driving around praying on me. But I didn't know it. And one black man picked me up. And he took me to some people's house and said there was some Hispanic people's house. And he had a suitcase like he was from out of town. And he said he was from New Orleans or something. And then he tried to rape me. And I said no. Then he tried to slam me on my bed, tried to slam me down on the hard floor. And this is so-called Hispanic couple house. And I said no. And I had to get my way out of the house. And when I got out of the house, he tried to make me come back in. And there was people walking around the house. And I said no. I met him at the Walmart. Actually, my bad, he didn't pick me up. I didn't let none of them pick me up. I never let none of these men pick me up. He came and picked me up after we had talked on the phone. I forgot. I met him at the Walmart going to get groceries. And he came up to me trying to talk to me when I was going to get groceries with the last little money I had on my food stamp card before they cut off my food stamps. And I didn't have food. And nobody didn't give me none. And this is where it was. And I walked all the way over there to Longhorn. All the way back over here. All the way back up there. And I believe it's like a Popeyes or something. And I was filming the videos too. Don't know if I still got those. And then she told me, after a few weeks, and after me having to get men to help me get money for food, and I met them online. And I walk in the streets. And it wasn't advertising. I simply asked them for help. She told me that I needed to leave her house because she was downsizing to a 1-bedroom. And this was in October. And I already felt like things was funny between us anyway, so I was like, that's all right, I'll just go ahead and leave. She want me gone. And she had said something about her bills. And I had been there for about 3 weeks. And then so August, I came there at the end of August. So by October, I was with Jakiba in Chambers County. By October, I was with Jakiba in Chambers County. And I found me a job. I got a job at Sonic. But his car supposedly broke down. And Travis Gomes pulled a gun out on me twice for crying about my son. And I went to that custody hearing, even though Judy and Jakiba didn't want to take me to the custody hearing when they reset it. And I stayed at Reverend Stewart's house because they were telling me I needed to leave their house. And this was by December. So October, November, by the beginning of December, I was leaving there to go to Reverend Stewart's house after they done pulled after he done pulled a gun out on me. They been back there shooting. I ain't even gonna get into all the rest of it. But they took me to that custody hearing on December 6th. And then they reset it. And then they tried to say I didn't do some parenting class they told me to do, and I don't need to do a parenting class. And Cynthia talking about she did it. And then it was all the way across town and nobody wanted to take me. And then they wanted to try to charge me money I didn't have. Because I was spending all my money to get there and all my money to survive. Turn around and walk the other way. And so they gonna turn around and reset it. Talking about, oh, I need to take this class. And I called the lady and I said, ma'am, do you know this man was raping me and hitting me? And I called her to tell her that I could not do the class before the next reset court date. And she said, oh, well, there's nothing I can do about it. Then when I went to court and told him that I called them and told them that I could not do the class, I didn't have a ride, I didn't have a way to afford it. She lied and said that I never even called, and he lied and said that I never even called, and I recorded it. So they brought me up into some custody court hearing after Jakiba and Jakiba dropped me off over by Reverend Stewart's house, and I went to the custody hearing. And then Cynthia O'Vera came in there and lied to get custody of my son. And he had the evidence that Austin Meta was abusing me and my son, and that I had my own place. when I had my son. But my sister and everybody kept putting me out and stressing the hell out of me while I was in their house and putting me out. And then they set the custody stuff for the times that I had to work. So I just told the lady I quit because I'm going to be at them custody hearings for my son. And it was all the way in Chambers County where they had me. And then Conroe, Texas was where they was having all these custody hearings. And I made it to every last one of them. And Austin did not come. And Cynthia didn't have no business being there. Because she should have never tried to keep me from my son. And this is what I mean when I say my family don't need to talk to me. Because I needed to be somewhere secure. And this I ain't blaming nobody, but that's what it was. And when I went in a custody hearing, I was saying I had been staying with my sister, but I was temporarily without my own home. And nobody helped me. Nobody helped me. Nobody helped me. Only thing people did was leave me out there, talk about me, plot on me, and take advantage of me. And after I went to the custody hearing, Reverend Stewart told me I had to get out because him and his grandson could not have me because I wouldn't be with them, because I wouldn't have sex with them. So I left. And then another man tried, and another man tried. And I went to a motel by myself, and I asked my other sister to send me some money, and she sent me $100. And I paid for my room with that. And then I had to call men online, knowing that I was pregnant and everybody was lying. And I had went to my friend Tavy's house and Tess' house. And they wouldn't help me. And they was telling me some falsified story that Austin John Meadow was saying that happened, but everybody knew that's not what happened. So I don't even know why anybody was even repeating that to me. And nobody would let me come and stay with them. Talking about, oh, they wanted to see me do it by myself. They wanted to just leave me out there to do it by myself. Oh, I didn't have this, oh, I didn't have that. That's what they were saying. Or I wasn't good enough for none of them to help me. So I said, okay. And this is where I was, looking for jobs. And when I went to the motel, I stayed at the motel and I had to ask men online if they could come and pay for my room. But there was no sex involved. And so the men was trying to come. One man paid for the room named Malcolm. And he said that he wanted to try to have sex with me. And I said no, and he left me. Then I had a man named Colin that I met who said he was going to help me out with a bedroom. And I stayed there. And that didn't work out. And then he had me leave by January. I stayed Christmas at his house and New Year's. You got to do all that just to park somewhere? But anyway, I stayed Christmas there and New Year's. And when I stayed, he had sex with me. And I was looking for jobs over there. And they would not hire me. And then he started asking for money, and I had only been there for about a week or two. And he told me he was going to give me at least 30 days to get on my feet, 30 to a month or 2 months to pay him. Because I told him my situation. And I left from there. And then I called my dad. And he said he was going to send me some money, like $20, and he didn't do it. Said something was wrong with his card. And then some woman came up to me telling me she'll take me to the shelter. But I told her, no, she said she'll take me somewhere. And I said, take me to the Conroe shelter. Take me to the shelter in Conroe. Because I had called the Montgomery County Women's Shelter and they said no, and I was having to take me to the Salvation Army. And she said she'll take me. She got my phone number, but she never did call me. And when I asked her to help me out with a couple of dollars so I could get some food, she looked at me like I was crazy and she wouldn't give it to me. Then when I went to the McDonald's and said that there was some men eating and laughing in my face, and I came out, he tried to joke with me, and I came out and I asked him, I said, sir, I don't have nowhere to stay tonight because Colin had put me out. I left Colin's house. And I got a job that day. The man told me, call him, gave me his card, said, I'll see you later on. But he looked at me like I was the scum of the earth, so I was like, nah, that's cool. I'm not going to ask him for nothing. I'm not going to call him, and I never did. And I went to another shopping plaza way down the street from Colin's house, and I got me a job at Pizza Hut. But he said I couldn't start working yet. He'll call me for orientation. And he gave me a little pizza to eat and something to drink, and that's all I had. And I was walking down the street back to the McDonald's to charge my phone, and a man named Jarvis picked me up in a little burgundy car. And when Jarvis picked me up, he asked me where I was going. I said, I'm going to the McDonald's to charge my phone. He said, all right, I'll take you, because I was just thinking that's crazy that I'm out here pregnant. And they got me out here like this. And then nobody asked me if I wanted to ride, not one time. And he asked me. So I was like, maybe that's a blessing. So I got in the car. We went to the McDonald's. He was like, oh, what you finna do? You can charge your phone in my car. I said, okay. So I started charging my phone. And that's how I met Jarvis. And Antonio Dean, they had me get some cell phones and he stole them from me. And then he introduced me to Antonio Dean.